Welcome to the Maple Minds podcast. I'm Christi, that's Rob and Poli, and we're just three people from BC who like to yap about politics. We don't just talk about BC politics, we talk about federal Canadian politics. We talk about the exciting, loud Americans. We talk about some international stuff, but I think today it's mostly Canada and the United States. So let's just jump right into it with the big news in our algorithm. And when I say our algorithm, a lot of the followers that Polly and I have on TikTok, we all got to know each other because we all used to talk about the convoy. This is how I know the majority of people that I had engaged with on TikTok was talking about the convoy. And then today, big news, the two most recognizable leaders of the convoy, Tamara Lich and Barber, got their sentencing. They were found guilty of mischief earlier this year, not on all of the counts that they were charged with, but on the counts that they were found guilty on, they were given 18-month conditional charges. So 12 months house arrest where they got to just stay at home and they're only limited to a certain amount of outings per week. And then after that, he gets 6 months and she gets how much, Polly? I think 4 months of curfew, 10 p.m. curfew. And then they both have to do 100 hours of community service. What we were saying just before we went live was Rob and I have, even though we've talked about some other things in politics in our lives, we've never discussed our opinions on the convoy. So give them to me. What do you think?
Oh man, where do you begin? Honestly, I found the whole thing a little ridiculous. I'm okay for people who want to protest. You do the protest. You want to do a convoy. All the trucks go into Ottawa. You go through. You do a big protest, and then you go home. But the simple fact is, they were a nuisance. And for what? What were they protesting? Government regulations and government rules that people were doing all over the world for COVID. Everyone was doing. All the different governments were doing it. So for me, I'm sitting there thinking, I'm doing what I need to do based on what we're supposed to do. Everyone I know is doing what they're supposed to do. And you've got these group of people who are like, nah, we're not going to do this. And they decide that they're going to occupy a city for honestly,
Really?
it was honestly ridiculous. It's you overstayed your welcome after the first day. Move on. You said your piece. Yeah, everyone should have a chance to say their piece, but they literally were a nuisance. It didn't make sense. And it was almost like, I think the hardest part was you had a lot of right-wing extremist agitators that were going in there. So you may have a group of people that they have serious concerns over what was being proposed and they wanted to voice those concerns. It's fantastic. But everyone should be able to do that. Left, middle, whoever. I don't care. But these agitators got in there and they wanted something a little bit different. And they really wanted to stir the pot and create something, not so great. But for me, protest, sure, go for it. Everybody, protest whatever you feel. But keep it classy, man. Keep it classy. It was not
It's
done.
not, in fact, classy. I would not call it classy. And I think that their intentions were not that of simple protest. I understand there's a lot of people who say, and I disagree a lot about effective ways to protest. Shortly after the convoy, there was a protest at the Second Narrows Bridge by some climate activists who had closed down that bridge at rush hour and it had backed up to past Langley. And I criticized it. I said, you're not going to get people on your side by pissing them off. And I felt the same way about the Freedom Convoy. You're not going to get people on your side when you're showing such little disregard for the people whose city you've taken over. And they were justifying it by, this is the city where the government is. Sorry, you picked to live in a city where the government is. You deserve this. I don't think that you get support like that, but I don't believe that was the intention. I think that a lot of the convoy supporters do not fall into the extremist right-wing agitators that you spoke of. I agree that there were those there. I don't agree with some other people. I don't believe you've said it, but maybe you think that all of the supporters were like that. I genuinely believe that a lot of the supporters had legitimate frustrations with mandates and stuff, but those frustrations were with our political leaders. Sorry, our provincial leaders, not the federal ones. And even if I had met a convoy person from TikTok in person, and I had a chance to ask him about this, and he swore, "Oh, we just wanted a conversation. We just wanted a conversation with Trudeau. That's it. But just peaceful protest. Just wanted a conversation." Okay, oh, what happens if Trudeau comes in and says, "Okay, I hear everything that you're saying, but I'm not going to change anything"? Then what happens? And then the guy had no answer. I'm like, because you're not there just to talk to him. Quit the bullshit. My frustration with the convoy was not with the people who supported it for frustrations with mandates. My frustration was how much bullshit was poured to that group of people so that they would support something that was political, that had nothing to do with vaccines or mandates.
100%. 100%. Actually, the funny thing is that the whole Freedom Convoy, I feel that when Pierre Poilievre came out and basically supported them, I think that was the turning point in our politics where we really started to see a big divide between right and left. I
For
think that
sure.
was the point in Canadian politics where it changed. Everything changed. The fact that he came out there, and I mean, he did it on purpose, obviously, because he just wanted to show,
Because he's
yeah,
MAGA. He's
yeah,
on their team, man. I've talked
Trudy,
about it a
Trudeau.
lot.
That's
I'm happy to back up my accusation with my receipts of why I'm accusing him of being Team MAGA, but I do accuse him of being
okay.
Team MAGA. And I think that when you say it was the political turning point, I don't know if that's fair. I think a more fair statement would be it would be a turning point for mainstream. I think in politics, it probably turned a little while ago. And I think in the corners of the internet, it was turning. But I think that the majority of Canadians didn't pay attention until the convoy, and that's when people started like getting it. Oh, what are we talking about? Oh, this is what I'm on, this is what side I'm on. And so I think you're right about a turning point. I just disagree that it was limited to just politics. I think that the political change started a bit earlier because those conservatives like Candace Bergen was caught, who was the interim leader, was caught saying, keep going, we're getting there. They were doing it to get something that they wanted politically. They didn't give a shit about those people that they had recruited for soldiers, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
And I'm not talking about politically, I'm talking about everyday Canadians, voters like
Yeah,
us.
the
I
real
believe,
people.
yeah, yeah. I believe that was the turning point for individual citizens in Canada who started drawing line, who started looking at the liberals as the left, who started looking at conservatives as the right, and that
Yes.
divide amongst us, all of us choosing sides, that tipping point right there. But not so much the actual conservatives and liberals and whoever. They were all sliding to where they were going anyway. But I'm talking about actual individuals who started
I
looking and choosing sides.
Yes. And I think that the seeds were planted for that during COVID, during all the times, especially in that 6 months where vaccinated people were allowed to do stuff that unvaccinated people weren't. It was just 6 months. And 6 months probably felt a lot longer at the time, especially when you're in the group of people that are being told, no, you don't get to go to a restaurant, but Christy's going to go to a restaurant. I think a lot in that time there was a lot of messaging pushed to the people who decided not to get vaccinated about like the amount of accusations that I hear that somebody from the left wanted us dead. I hear that from everybody who's on the right. I don't hear it from anybody. I didn't hear it in my real life. I heard it from a couple of people who crossed a line on the internet. I think that's what you're going to find on the internet. But overall, that message, I hear way more from the people saying that they were recipients of the message than people admitting to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think there
It's
was a
tough.
big, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
That whole thing was tough. You think about it. Hey, if you don't do this, you don't get this. And so the people over on that side are like, I don't want to do this. I don't feel comfortable doing this. I don't trust this, or whatever, for whatever reason. And it's tough because now you're telling them that they can't do these things. You can't travel. You can't go out for dinner. You can't do all of these things. And essentially, that's where people started really getting their backs up and being like, hold on, what the hell?
So I think that
We
would have
don't live in a
happened
free
anyways.
society anymore. And
Eh,
that's the tough part, right? It's I don't know. I don't know how it could have been done any differently. I don't know. I don't, yeah, it's
I think so.
a tough
I have
situation.
ideas of how to do it differently, of course.
Yeah.
I think that the biggest failures were in consistency and in communication. I think if they tighten that up, well, consistency, my biggest criticism against the provincial mandates in British Columbia was I was allowed to go to the casino. I could go to the poker room where I'm sitting this close to some guy who's not going to wear his masks properly, who's going to touch the same cards and chips that I am. And I'm going to sit with 10 of those guys, but I'm not allowed to go to the gym where I can wipe everything down afterwards and maintain a 6 foot difference from other people. I thought that some of the decisions that they made were ill thought through. I don't think that it was intentional, though, like
Yeah.
how some people believe. And I believe that a lot of the reason that people believe that it was intentional to make sure that people felt segregated and to instill this authoritarian rule. I think that it was more of a incompetence thing than an intention thing, personally.
Yeah, the one that
Yeah.
pissed me off was when what was the health minister at the time? Bonnie. Yeah,
Bonnie,
Bonnie
Bonnie
Henry
Henry.
at
Bonnie.
first had told everybody that because she didn't want people going and buying up all the masks and hoarding masks, she told people that masks don't work. That's what she said in the beginning. And then she stopped people from going and hoarding the masks. But then when they brought in the mask mandate, they're saying, okay, masks do work now. And that's
And
the
then they
one that
wonder why they don't
irritated
have
me.
credibility.
That's right. Yeah.
If we just adopted a no bullshit rule, we could save so much trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or the fact that you couldn't have Christmas dinners with your whole family. And they're
Yeah.
like, what? Are you kidding me? Although it was actually one of the best Christmases because all of us as our group in our house, we just basically stayed in our pajamas and we didn't clean up the house and the place was a mess. So we didn't have to rush after opening the presents, clean the house for everyone coming over. The place
Yeah.
was a mess, left it a mess, staying in our pajamas all day. It was awesome. But
Maybe
at the same time as you didn't get to spend it with the rest of your family. And that
maybe
for
we
Yeah.
me
should remind everybody to sign that petition.
was baffling.
Oh, yes. Petition E6679 about ethics in politics. It's a start of a no bullshit rule, hopefully.
Already did it, signed it,
Me too.
check the box.
So, speaking of, oh, wait, we didn't finish on the convoy because we just
Oh, there was
opined
more
about
fun
the
stuff
convoy.
in
But
that
what do we
too,
think
right?
about the sentencing? What were you surprised? Did you think that they should have gotten some time behind bars? Do you think that it was too much, that it sets a precedence against protesting? What do you think?
I think it's all right. I don't think there should have been crazy harsh sentencing over it, but I think setting a precedent of, hey, we're not going to put up with this sort of garbage again. Protesting's fine, but the garbage, the crap that they pulled, they deserve something out of it. Obviously, they've spent the last how many years having to deal with the situation that they're in, and it is what it is. I'm not looking for someone to get 5 to 10 years behind bars because they were part of all of this. You know what? They essentially got slapped on the hand and said, like, hey, no more. That was just too much. It was too much for us. So
I think it was enough of a deterrent that other people would reconsider. And again, we're all good for protesting. It's just the bear hugging. It's just the threatening Canadians that you're going to starve us by threatening to have empty shelves and bear hugging, keeping the streets of Ottawa occupied until you get your own way. That kind of thing, I think, was discouraged with this kind of ruling, but without going so overboard. I think if they went overboard, I think that the biggest risk would be making martyrs out of these guys, which I think there is already with these fire and ice performances or speeches or whatever you call them. They already have them up on stage. They're already parading them in front of people who are going to support the movement and keep it going. I think harder sentences, I think making them do actual time and not house time, I think that would have strengthened their movement instead of discouraging it more.
100%. I totally agree. Totally agree. I think there'd be that group of people that they see the sentencing isn't really that bad. They're going to be like, okay, they got their hands slapped. Everything seems okay. If they did get harsh sentences, then that sliver of people are all going to go over and go, that's ridiculous. And now
Yeah.
they're going to,
Yeah.
so I think it was perfect. I think it worked out pretty good. I think it's enough to make them understand, like, we're not going to put up with garbage like that again and move on.
There's a
Let's all
lot of
move
Well,
people
on.
who are not happy with it,
yeah.
understandably
Also,
and predictably. I will say it's a bit stronger than a slap on the, like just a little bit stronger than a slap because they get criminal records. And
Yep.
for Chris Barber's case, that affects I think his ability, or it may affect his ability to be able to cross the border, to do business across the border once he's done his time, because he still has a criminal record.
Yeah.
And I think that part is the deterrence part. But yeah, I agree with you that it was just right. It was like
Yeah.
baby
All
bear
the
justice.
people on the right who said that, and far right, I'm not talking about convoyers, I'm talking about the little remnants of Maple MAGA who were saying that the left riot and cause damage, but also were saying that if Chris and Tamara had gotten a harsh sentence, they were going to riot. So they're peaceful. Peaceful.
I did a video about Stephen Miller from the States talking about how the protests against ICE are domestic terrorism. You know what? I should wait until we get to the States. Let's move across the mountains now and talk about Alberta and the Alberta teachers strike. Did you see how many people had turned out on Sunday, the day before the teachers went on strike, to show their support for teachers?
Oh, I did not.
It was enormous. There was a lot of people who were not happy with the Alberta government and this whole, no, it's just teachers are being greedy about money. First of all, everybody should be asking for raises. Nobody should. There's this social stigma against asking for money that only benefits the bosses and it doesn't benefit people who are actually putting in the labor. Ask for raises. Support people, other people who are asking for raises. But the teacher strike isn't about money, it's about classroom size. And before that kid got cut off at the Alberta Next panel, he was bringing up a really good point about how much taxpayer money is going to private and charter schools versus how much is going to the public schools. The public schools are getting peanuts, while taxpayer money is going to private schools. The majority of money is going, I think it's 70%.
Yeah, and it's a private school, right? They're private
Yeah.
schools. They're not public schools, not publicly funded by taxes, but they're private school. Kids or the parents have to pay a ton of money for the private schools in the first place, but yet the government still funds them.
Also, the other thing about private schools too is that when they're privately owned, somebody is privately making a lot of money on them. And when you look at a lot of the messaging that goes out, and going to go back to the convoy too, because the convoy wasn't just about the Ottawa raw message. They had a lot of messages too. They had an anti-vaccine message, and then they tried to say it's not our fault that everybody's got measles. Canada is going to lose our measles free status. Like, we got rid of the measles in 1998, and history books are going to show that we brought it back. We knew how to keep it away. We knew how to have a whole country without measles, and we didn't. And when you look at where the majority of the cases are, Ontario, population makes sense, and Alberta. And who are the two provinces who had the most support for the Freedom Convoy? Is it a coincidence that it's the same two? So anyways, besides the anti-vax messaging that is contributing to measles outbreaks, in my opinion, they also had a very anti-public school. All the public teachers are groomers. And I don't know if you remember, there was a school out in Abbotsford where they actually had it spray painted or written in chalk outside on the school pavement, in the parking lot. They went hard after Soji and the public school system and public schools in general. They don't want the public to support public schools so that their buddies can make money in the private schools.
100%. Yeah, it's just like how Alberta is trying to lead the way to privatize healthcare as well. So that's the thing. There's obviously a group of people out there that want to make a ton of money, and they're willing to push the buttons on people to start thinking about, oh, hey, we should privatize this, we should privatize that. Oh, this is going to be way better for us. No, it's way better for them.
Yeah.
It's way better for them because they're going to make the billions of dollars off of us. It's not better for us. What we need to do is we need to fix our healthcare and we need to pay teachers. Like, that's really what it is. We need to pay teachers. We need to make the schools organized better so that you have smaller classroom sizes. Smaller classroom sizes, pay the teachers well enough so that they can have good lives and they enjoy the job that they're doing. You don't pay people well, you don't pay teachers well. You're essentially sending your kids to a teacher that's not happy about their job with a ton of other kids in there. What do you think you're going to get?
Yeah.
Like, really, Pay them so they're happy. Make them happy. They can do their jobs well. Don't overload the classes so that the kids can actually get a little more time with the teacher. It only makes sense. This is our future, and yet we're not doing what we should be doing. It doesn't
I
make sense.
I agree with that. And I think that this is our future is going to go to our spending versus investing conversation. But I think Alberta has a bigger challenge than, don't get me wrong, I am no fan of Danielle Smith. I am a very loud critic of Mrs. Smith, but I will recognize that she is facing a tougher challenge than any other province because her population is growing at a faster rate. Other provinces are going to her province. I think that they can't go back in time to build more schools, but I think they need to hire more teachers. She said, we're going to go to the trade schools. Listen, I don't believe you're just going to be able, and I understand why somebody who is doing a trade is a good person to be a teacher for the trade schools. 100% I agree with that. I don't think you're getting 1,000 of them. And I don't think it's fixing your crisis with the teachers where they're saying my classrooms are overcrowded, because 1,000 teachers per year is not even one teacher per school in the province of Alberta.
Yeah. And I'm going to throw this out there, and whether or not it's right or not, but you wonder if they're letting it burn on purpose.
Yes.
I mean, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Think about it. You've got the people that are in charge right now that want privatization. They want to privatize things.
Yeah.
They don't want to fund public school systems. They don't even want public school systems to teach kids certain things. They want to be able to restrict what kids are, book bans. Where are we now? How are we banning books that all of us have read for centuries, or
Yeah.
not centuries, for however long?
Rob's all about the hyperbole.
Yeah, for how long? And now we're going to ban them for the next generation, or what? I mean, personally, I think it's let it burn. Oh, this isn't working, guys. We might need to privatize. But look at, you could get smaller classrooms if we just privatize, or if we do this, or if we do that. I don't know, people. Wake up.
So wake up. So first of all, if they weren't trying to do that, they'd spend all of their tax dollars on healthcare that's allotted to them, and they don't. A lot of them, the more conservative ones, Doug Ford, they're leaving money on the table. That is, in my opinion, purposely suffocating a business so that you can bring life to a more profitable one that's more profitable to certain people who are probably your friends. Cool thing, the where are we, what are we doing with the burning books and everything too. I think that one, it's because it's in the path to the fascism. A lot of people who agree with Danielle Smith about, oh, we don't want certain things in schools and stuff, they agreed with that superintendent in Oklahoma. His name, Ryan Walker, was the superintendent in Oklahoma, and he recently resigned. He became the superintendent in 2023, and he had mandated recently this year that every single classroom in Oklahoma was going to have a Bible. And then there was a teacher who's on TikTok, Aaron Baker, look him up. He, as a teacher, he's like, hey, I got these Bibles, and hey, it's got the wrong constitution in it. What's going on? It's missing amendments 11 through 27, which say basically slavery is illegal, women can vote, birthright citizenship, presidential terms. And it also had the 3/5 rule in it. For anybody who's unfamiliar with the 3/5 rule, it's a dehumanizing rule where they were only counting 60% of a certain group of people in America at a time. It's been changed, but these Bibles that he sent out turn back the clock to before civil rights movements. Do you think it's a mistake? Do you think it was an oops with that many Bibles? Or do you think it's an intentional message to, we want to turn back the clocks to this kind of time where women weren't voting, where slavery was legal? Like, why is he leaving it out? Just saying.
100%. We all know that. You could tell everything that's being done down there right now is
Yeah.
purposeful. We know it's purposeful.
Yeah.
Just them passing legislation on any women that got married and now they've taken their husband's name, may
Yeah.
not be able to vote. They were trying to pass that legislation where they wouldn't be able to vote because they didn't
Yeah.
have. Come on, like where does that even come from? That's
Dude, I know
craziness.
where it comes from. I
Yeah,
have been in lives on TikTok lives with men who have told me that I shouldn't be allowed to vote, that my vote counts through my husband because me and my husband are going to have a conversation. And then he, as the man, gets to go vote. I've had conversations with no women deserve to be at the table. It's only a man's table. And then the men make the rules for other. No, fuck that. Pardon me for swearing again, but I'm going to do it again. Fuck that. Once you have given us the microphone, we don't want to go back to just holding the microphone for you guys. I won't swear anymore. I'm sorry, Polly.
It's okay.
Hey, don't make promises you can't keep, Christi.
Yeah, no kidding.
That's fair.
Come
We're only
on.
halfway through. That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
It's just
Yeah,
an
like,
editing thing. I have a hard time editing out swear words.
Sorry. I'll try to get passionate. I'm passionate. That's it. Okay, let's talk quickly about the future, and then we'll jump to international relations. But some criticism that Carney is getting right now from the Conservatives is they're accusing him of using a sneaky trick, the sneaky trick that he used in the UK, that is trying to say that spending and investing are different. I guess they're trying to suggest that spending and investing are the same. They aren't the same, and the difference is very easy to see. It's called return on investment, right? One of these departures of money from your wallet has an ROI and the other one doesn't. When you spend money, you're never going to see anything come back. You get something else in it. Maybe you get happy from it, maybe you get a new outfit, maybe you just get to pay one of your bills, but the money is gone. An investment come back. And the suggestion that there is no difference, I think, is ignorant. What do you think?
oh, I think it's actually like just brainless in a way. You think about it. People who don't really understand economics are all chirping on this and they're all jumping on it. If you don't understand economics, honestly, just sit back and let everyone else do their jobs.
Hold
At
on.
the end of the day, to avoid recession, sometimes you actually have to spend more. We're in a trade war. Like there's a lot of stuff going on. If you take that money and you put it back into Canada, you put it into certain infrastructure, into certain things that are happening within our country, that money is going to have a return on investment. It's not going to be tomorrow. You're not going to get it tomorrow. You're not going to get it the next day. But this is setting us up for years of prosperity. Years, not days.
Yeah.
It's not a get rich quick scheme. You've got
But
to
I
lay the
think that
foundation. It has
I
to
think
happen.
in 2025, when we're so used to instant gratification, you don't have to take any time for anything anymore. You want to know something, you ask your phone like that, right? And especially with how quickly new information is always fired at us like this, there's no patience. And I think that is being exploited. But at the same time, I don't believe that the Liberals are doing a good enough job of communicating the investment and where Canadians will see the return and when and what to expect and how. I think if they had, and I don't think it should be Carney. He talks too he like he's too educated, which he is, but he doesn't speak like a regular Canadian you're going to see on the street. He doesn't, in my opinion.
100%. I think that's the problem is I think everything is in his head. All the answers are in his head. It's all there, but we're not hearing it because when he talks about it, it's on such a high level that people are never going to really understand it. But really, there should be someone that breaks it down. This is what we're trying to do. This is our playbook. This is how we are going to invest in Canadians in Canada. This is where we're going to see the returns. Somehow, there has to be a little bit more explanation because at the end of the day, you've got the Pierre Poilievres of the world just misinforming the rest of Canada and spinning whatever he wants to spin. And then the other side, you got Carney, who's not doing enough to turn around and be like,
Yeah,
not doing
I
it.
agree.
And you're like, so obviously, as most Canadians who might not understand the economics, they're all going to be like, yeah, what is happening? What is
Yeah,
going on here? He's not even saying anything. So is your Polyev right? And that's the problem is there needs to be a little bit of a squash and be like, no, this is what's happening. There
totally
needs to be
agree.
more information, more communication.
And the squash needs to be easily understood. That's something that Pierre does. Pierre speaks to people using very simple language, using slogans, using things that are easy to remember, using things that rhyme. I'm not suggesting that Carney come out rhyming or make slogans. I'm
Oh, please, no.
suggesting that speak to everybody the way that the person who is least likely to understand is going to understand, because everybody else who would have understood those $100 words and those Harvard words, they're going to understand it anyways. But everybody else who doesn't understand, number one, doesn't understand, so they're being left behind. But number two, more importantly, they're feeling ignored. They're feeling like he's only talking to other rich people or only talking to other people who have high education, that he's not talking to everybody. If you speak in a way that everybody will understand, you have a better chance of success, in my opinion, instead of trying to make it sound smart. I think he tries too hard. And I don't think he's trying to sound smart. I think he is very smart. And I just don't think he's aware of how it comes across as pretentious or elitist.
100%. You think about what jobs he's had over the years and who he's had to communicate and talk to. He's never had to talk to
Yeah.
Canadians and just average people that are just
Well,
going about their day-to-day lives. And I'm just talking about the conversation that he's probably been having are
yeah.
essentially in a different language than we're all used to. And he's got to get some interpreters happening to make sure that people understand that what is actually going on is the right thing for us and why.
Mr. Carney, when you see this, my name's Christi. Be happy to translate for you. But I think seriously, I think he does need a translator, or he needs somebody to look over what he's going to say and then make it more understandable for the average Canadian before it's delivered. That's what I think.
Oh,
All
for
right,
sure.
now let's talk about how he went to the States. Let's talk about how Pierre has already set him up for failure by telling Canadians he has promised us that he's going to get a zero tariff deal, which he has never said. But what do we think about him going down to the States? And what do you think about Pierre's criticism of him?
First off, there's never been a zero tariff deal ever. It doesn't make sense. There never has been. There's going to be tariffs on both sides. People are going to want to secure certain businesses within their countries and ensure that they thrive. So you're going to put tariffs on certain things so that you can maintain those businesses and they're not going to go bankrupt and dissolve and no longer be there. So Pierre Polyev is again spreading that misinformation to Canadians and essentially trying to create this new situation for Carney. And I think for anyone who is even remotely educated should understand that what he's doing is just ridiculous. And they need to understand that we are going to get the deal. We're in a different world now. Like we literally are in a different world now. And everyone has to understand that there's two sides to this and both of them want to win. Like Trump more than anyone needs a win. Like he needs a win because right
His
now,
ego needs a win. Yeah.
oh, he's
Yeah.
losing and he's trying to pretend like he's winning, but he's absolutely losing on all fronts, all over the place. And the reason why I feel like we have a pretty good chance is he's realizing, and you could see it even with the new US ambassador to Canada.
Hope Stra.
Yeah, they're worried. They're worried because of the things that we're doing behind the scenes that are really helping our economy. Essentially, our ex over there is seeing us getting together with supermodels and,
Yes.
and celebrities, and we're having the
And
time of
seeing our
our lives.
glow up.
Yeah, like literally we're
Yeah.
glowing up and they're going,
And
and now
looking
they're,
up too. Yeah.
yeah, and now they need to get back in there. They're like, okay, we need to figure something out. I think it's hilarious that Trump's Canadians are going to love us again. Are we?
Did you see him? I think it's funny too. Canadians are going to love him. Did you see him joke about the merger between Canada and the States?
No, I didn't see that.
So I actually appreciated it more than any other, because he was genuinely joking. All of the other times he pretends that he's joking while he's saying, nope, they're going to be the 51st state. They're just the 51st state. And I've been offended because I know he's not actually joking. So there was an exchange with him and Carney in the Oval Office today where Carney was kissing up to him. He was.
Yeah.
He was throwing him some compliments. He was saying, look what you've done here. And he's look what you've done here, look what you've done here, look what you've done here. And then Trump's and a merger between Canada and the US. And then he very quickly said, no, I'm just joking. And I felt genuinely that he really, especially with how quickly he took it back, I think he generally was joking. And I think that Carney kissing his ass put him in a better mood. How do you deal with this guy?
But that's the playbook. Everyone knows that's the playbook with Trump. And anyone with any sort of knowledge of that will understand. Because you're gonna have Pierre Poilievre, oh, you're sucking up to Trump. Dude, that's exactly what you're supposed to do. You're
Yeah.
supposed to kiss the ring and be like, oh, you're the best. Oh, look at this. Even though we all know it's not real, but you're gonna butter him up. So then he goes, oh, he's my friend. He likes me. Okay, what do you need? Well,
Yeah,
like it's hilarious. It absolutely is hilarious because that's exactly what you do. And he
Stroke
did it.
that ego. Stroke
Oh,
it. Just
Totally.
stroke
And
it.
I think that there's a lot of people who are offended when they see him stroking the ego. And I understand. And I think that comes from a very emotional place. I don't want to see you give this guy a single inch. I want to shut the gate. I want
Yeah.
to cut off the United States completely. And I don't believe that's realistic, not
mm,
just because they have the biggest consumer market, but because we want their help in defending the Arctic. We really do, I believe. And we have the free trade agreement renegotiations up in November. So I think that Carney is doing a lot of work behind the scenes to make sure that our economy is being cushioned by areas other than the Americans until that happens,
Yeah.
while he's waiting for the Supreme Court decision to come in to see if these tariffs are even legal. Don't forget, they've already been ruled as illegal. Then they got an appeal. So now we're waiting for the Supreme Court to say whether or not he's even allowed to put these tariffs on.
yeah. I think I really want Canadians to know at the end of the day, I get that frustration with Trump and that fire where you're seeing red and being upset with anyone placating him in any sort of way. But everyone has to know we're not playing checkers, we're playing chess. And sometimes you got to give up a few pawns here and there. You got to give up a few pieces to be able to win that match. And that's essentially what we're doing. And it's not a, oh, look at that. They're winning now. They're not winning. They're not winning. And
Can't
that's,
look at the goals. You have to look at the series. We have a comment?
I think
Too
it's a
small.
wire that needs to be walked carefully, though I don't think Trump respects people who kiss up too much. Carney does a good job of walking that line.
First of all, I agree totally,
too.
except the part where Trump is not. I think Trump loves when people kiss his ass. I do agree that it is a fine line, but I believe that fine line is with the public and not with Trump. I don't believe that man has a line. I think you could be so overly obviously sarcastic in your kissing up to him and he would be super happy with it. I do. Have you ever watched one of his meetings with all of his secretaries?
oh, I can't.
It's not a serious country. They're just taking turns blowing sunshine up this guy's ass.
Like I literally look at that and I think of North Korea. We're the all supreme leader. You are the greatest.
Yes.
I can't believe how amazing you are. Wow. Oh my goodness, you look so good today. Have you lost weight? Oh wow. You must be working out. Look at those biceps. You are such a smart person too. I can't believe how brilliant you are.
And you won by so much. You won the electoral college by this much. You won by this many counties.
Good.
Everybody loves you. That's why you love so much. And speaking of North Korea, did you see the banner that hangs down, like the building size banner? Nothing says North Korea like putting up a banner of your leader's face on a building. Just saying.
Oh, 100%. You know, these people are walking them. Trump, you know what? I heard from the American people, all of them. All the American people are loving you. They love you. They love everything you're doing. Keep up the great work.
So,
Keep it good.
but for the Trump supporters, and I have talked to Trump supporters, they honestly do believe that their economy is thriving under these tariffs. Now, I did a video yesterday, and I think we touched on it last Friday about the soybeans. I'm going to do another video today because I got a clip of a farmer talking about farmers don't want aid. They want trade. They want to be able to sell the stuff that they've worked very hard to grow. They don't want to see it rot and then just get a compensation check from the government. Plus, what do you do next year? Do you even plant a crop? Like, how can Trump supporters look at Trump saying, I have to bail these guys out because I pissed off China and China won't buy any of their stuff? And China accounted for, I believe, 70% of that business.
Yeah. Let's be clear though. Trump and the government aren't bailing them out. The US citizens are bailing them out because they're the ones that have been paying the tariffs that are
Yeah.
leading to this surplus that's going to help bail them out. So the consumers in the United States that are spending more on their groceries and their merchandise and whatever it is they're buying, they're spending more on it. They're giving that money back to the US government, and the government just will end up doling it out to the farmers. So essentially it's the US citizens that are bailing them out.
While they say you be careful of those socialists, right?
Yeah.
I'm just saying,
Don't
but
be a
he's letting
socialist.
everybody he's letting everybody believe that the tariff money is coming from outside of the country, which is completely false. He's charging American businesses to do business outside of America. And then he's taking that money and saying, oh, sorry that I killed your business by doing that. Here's a little compensation for you. How long is that going to last? How many farmers are they going to bankrupt? And then who do you think is going to buy up all of the farms? I think it's them.
Yeah.
While they complain about watch out for those communists. Also, the United States government has now two, I believe, private companies that they now own 10% of. Don't be a
Yeah.
communist. Just saying.
It's pretty interesting just for anyone to do research on JD Vance and what he's involved in for hang
You
up
know what?
line.
I bought that man's book long time ago before he became the vice presidential whatever. I have his book and I read his book, and then they made a movie, and I made my family watch the movie with me, and they lasted about half an hour, and they were so mad at me. They're like, you duped me. This sucks.
JD Vance.
Yes. It's called
The
Hillbilly
I'm
OG.
a
I
never
watched the
Trump
movie.
guy. I'm a
I
never
watched
Trump
it.
guy.
Yeah,
The
I'm a never Trump guy.
So funny.
Also, I peeked at some of the testimony from Pam Bondi because she's testifying today about Epstein files, about that Borders Are guy taking 50 grand in a bag. I don't know if you've ever watched any of them testify. They all testified the exact same way, whether it's the attorney general, whether it's the director of the FBI, the secretary of the treasury, Tulsi Gabbard, Christi, they all do the same thing. They avoid the question. They will say a lot of words about a situation around the question, but they won't address the question. And then when that doesn't work, they'll attack the person asking the question. Why don't you care more about this? Or they just don't say anything. They asked Pam Bondi today about flagging Trump's name in the Epstein files or something, and she just, not a word, not a
Yeah.
word. It's
I
such
think
a
it's
waste. Like,
funny.
if I was an American, I would be furious that my tax dollars were going to put these people in front of Congress just so that they could avoid none of them have ever answered a question, ever.
Yeah. Why do you hate America? Hey, just answer the question. You hate America. You hate America.
That's exactly it.
Why do
Yeah.
you keep asking? Stop it. And you're like, just answer the question. Like, what's happening here? I don't
But I
understand it.
think that the problem is that so many people who are watching that don't agree with us, don't agree that it's so obvious that they're avoiding the questions and then questioning why are they avoiding the questions. I think that they just hear, oh, that person hates America. You're right. They're a Democrat. That's it. So they must be evil. They must have bad intentions. So I don't have to pay attention to why they're not answering the question. And it's why they're supporting what's happening as the United States slides right into fascism.
It's still baffling to me that they shut down the government, the 218th vote to be able to
Yep.
just release the files. She still hasn't been sworn in yet. And she's going to be the 218th vote, guaranteed.
Yep.
How long are they going to put this off? What is their next move? Because I don't feel like there's really any moves left. She's got to get sworn in.
I wish I agreed with
what are
you.
they expecting? I don't know. Are they just going to keep the government shut down for the next couple of years? Maybe they don't even go back. Maybe they're like, no, we're never going to reopen the government. We're never going to reopen it. Trump is king.
The politicians are getting paid.
Yeah.
I agree with you, Rob. I think that they are going towards a spot where they want to just make Trump the king and they don't want to worry about the government so that they never have to release the files. And then they're just going to give him absolute power. There's a word that Stephen Miller used yesterday, applet power. No, that's not it. It's gonna bug me. You're gonna get a random text when I figure out what the word is. But he was being interviewed to ask about why Trump can just like disregard these court orders and stuff. And he and Carolyn Levitt both quote 12408, I believe, and Section 10 of U.S. rule that says that if the government asks for military help, if a governor of a state asks for it, or if there's like an insurrection, that the president has more power, but at no point does it give him king powers. And he alluded to that until he just stopped talking. And then they're like, oh, he must have a bad reception. And I'm like, no, I think he said something that he wasn't supposed to. I think he's admitting to something that they don't want to admit to yet. But I bet a week from now or a month from now, they're talking about it openly. Because if you watch their progression of how comfortable they are speaking against certain groups of people, it has been escalating.
Actually, the interesting part was that Trump appointed judge. I think it was today, was it? That or yesterday, that basically said you can't send the National Guard to Portland.
Yeah.
You're just not allowed. Nope. Too bad.
Have you
I can't
seen the
wait to see.
videos of Portland?
Yeah, the
Like
frog, the frog costume. That one person that's in that frog.
the frog costume
They're
is
like,
awesome.
but how do people get away with putting pepper spray into that person's air intake?
Yeah,
Did you see that? That was,
I did.
you know what? That guy needs, you're real proud of you, buddy. Real proud of you to do that to somebody. And it's not like this is a malicious protest. He's in an inflatable frog costume dancing around. Oh, the horror. The horror.
It's
We
a
need the
war
National
zone.
Guard. We need the National Guard in there. It's out of control. People are in serious danger from blow up frog costumes gyrating against other blow up.
But they're using words like war ravaged. If
Oh,
there was a city that was war ravaged, they probably canceled their marathon. Portland Marathon went as scheduled. Thousands of people running marathon. Beautiful day out. Showed lots of parks, lots of the farmers market.
yeah. Oh,
It's like one block around the ice facilities because you got some people protesting about the way that the United States government is ignoring their constitution in their efforts to round up people with brown skin and Spanish accents.
yeah. Honestly, though, what would have been perfect is if there was someone running the marathon in a blow up frog costume. That for me would have been perfect. I'd be like, check the box.
Now I want you to get a blow up frog costume and bring you to a protest.
Oh, that would be so much fun. 'Cause I just dance.
I
I
know
just
you
be
would.
dancing.
I know.
Care about
It's
whatever
why
the
I
protest
suggested
is.
you getting one and not me.
I literally just want to get in a frog costume and just go somewhere and dance. Like, even if it's on the side of the road, give me like a 2-for-1 pizza deal sign too. Like, whatever. I'll have some fun with it.
Vote against Poilievre sign.
Or he had, hey, sign the petition. No more liars. And
Yeah.
just dance around in a frog costume. Although I need a different costume because I think the frog one's done.
You don't want to,
I need to start a new one.
yeah, you don't
Maybe
want to
like
rip anybody off. You could do a
maybe like
dinosaur one.
or like a pink pony costume. And then you have that song playing.
I would
Sign
totally
the
play that
petition.
song for you, the Pink Pony
Yeah.
Club. I just want to ask you one more thing before we'll wrap up for the day. It wasn't on the list that I had texted you, but
Oh no.
I don't believe
No.
I have asked you about it. Rob Ashton, the union leader who's running for leader of the NDP. So this guy, he is the president of the Longshore and Warehouse Union. On his campaign kickoff, he was joined by the national director of the Steelworkers Union. He addresses workers in his speeches a lot. He's used to fighting for workers. What do you think his chances are? Or are you
Is
familiar with him?
Isn't that what the NDP started at? For the workers, working people, unions. It feels like it's a big throwback to, hey, let's come around and let's start this whole thing all over again. I personally don't know him, but I think the premise and the position that he's been in, I think, why not? Like, why not? I've seen him talk a few times. He seems like very intelligent guy who just wants the best for the party and for the people. And I don't see why not? Why not?
So here's what I think. I'm optimistic. I hope that this guy, I hope he wins. And failing that, I hope he makes an impression for the unions because I was personally dismayed to see how many unions had thrown their support behind Pierre Poilievre. I don't like that. Now, what I would like to see is I would like to see somebody like him get in a position like leader of the NDP because of his experiences of fighting bosses for the workers, right? He has experience. He knows what it takes to get people who don't want to give up money for their boss, for their workers, or who don't want to give up certain rights because they cost money, or who don't want to give up, or who don't want to give certain benefits, right? He's used to squeezing the money guys for the workers. But I think that he needs to address all Canadians instead of workers. I think it should be a mix. I think you're right that the NDP was a workers' one and reminding people of that. And I think that his experience for me trumps the other two candidates, one who's a politician and one who is an activist, because I want somebody who isn't a politician. I want somebody from the working world, or not even just the working world, like the real people world. I don't believe politics is in the real world because you got too many people kissing your butt and being fake to you. You don't get to know what real is. And I think a union president does know what real is. So
Yeah.
I'd like to see somebody like him in there over a politician or an activist. I think it's great to have an activist like Abby Lewis in there. I think it's great to bring attention to the issues, but I think that a union leader would be in a better position to tackle the issues than instead of just highlighting them. Personally, what I believe.
Yeah. It actually goes to just how backwards Canada's become in politics, where you have union workers who are supporting Pierre Poilievre, and Pierre Poilievre does not like union workers.
No,
He might try to play that way, but we know he doesn't. He's
no
there for
conservatives do.
He's there
When you
for the bosses. He's there for the CEOs. He's there for the big money. He's there for the privatization. And I think having someone like this come in and just say, I'm here for you guys. Right. And I think that's something that's desperately needed, because I don't think, as much as the liberals are somewhat on theirs, they're still not where the NDP is, where the NDP would love to blow that up and be like, hey, you know what? You're making $20 an hour, but your CEO is making $10 million a year. How about you make $30 an hour and he only makes $8 million a year? How about that? But the NDP would be more along, hey, how about you make $40 an hour because you're doing all the damn work and that guy can get $4 million. How about that? You guys
yeah,
get the $40 from the $20. You guys are the ones doing all the work. You guys deserve the money. You need to live good lives. And that's where the NDP comes in. And they need to be all over that. They need to get the people on board.
I don't even think that it's just about quality of living. I do believe that Canadians deserve quality of living, but like from a math point of view, the more money people have, the more they spend. The more money regular society has, the stronger an economy will have. You don't need to have just a few rich guys. You can have a society of spenders.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Oh, sorry.
sorry,
All right, that's it. I'll run the world. Let me do it.
the happier they are, right? The less, the less they're going to be self-medicating.
Yes.
The less they're going to commit crimes.
Nobody talks. This drives me nuts. No politicians talk about how expensive poverty is.
It is true. It
Yep.
is true. But
That's a good soundbite. That's where we should wrap it up.
done.
Because we are done with our hour now. And I had a nice little soundbite at the end. So here's the deal. We are live every Tuesday and Friday at 1 o'clock Pacific time on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, and TikTok. If you haven't already subscribed to our YouTube channel, you should. And if you want to see any of our old shows, they're all on our YouTube page. And you should be following our TikTok page. And you should tell all of your friends and family too, as well. I'm Christi. That's Rob and Poli. We'll be back on Friday. And do you guys have any parting thoughts?
No, I like your soundbite. I'm done.
Okay.
I think I'm good. Just subscribe. Everybody subscribe to the YouTube, please.
All right. We'll see you guys on Friday. Thank you so much.
Happy Friday.
Bye.